Hello and welcome back. You're watching The Money Show on ET Now. Let me now introduce on the show Ritesh Bhatia, renowned cybercrime investigator and cybersecurity consultant. We have lots to quiz Ritesh about. Firstly, the recent outages that we've seen, not at small bank, but big renowned banks like SBI, HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank. And I'm sure many of you are customers of at least one of these three big banks. And the second topic is with respect to easy loans via digital lending apps and the subsequent alleged harassment by entities appointed by these apps for loan recovery, many of which have ended very sadly. So Ritesh, thank you so much for taking out time today on ET Now and joining us on The Money Show. It's good to have you back.
Same here, Mobina. I hope you're doing well.
Very well, Ritesh. Thank you so much. Well, to start off with, Ritesh, I'm sure you have read about all of these outages that took place in digital banking. Many of us found it difficult to even log into our net banking, websites. It disrupted services, so on and so forth. Just to sort of rule out any fears that do tend to surround things like this, because unfortunately, during the lockdown, many people have witnessed this rising spate of cybercrime activities with respect to even their bank account, even with their ATMs. So what were the causes for these outages essentially, Ritesh? And is our net banking in any way under threat because of these outages? Just to get that clarified for the benefit of our viewers.
Yeah, so Mobina, let me answer the second one first, that nothing is under threat as such. I mean, because of these outages, nothing is like under threat. Now, the reason for these outages is like twofold. One was because of some power disruptions that happened in their data centers and all, which was very shocking and surprising. Because, with the data centers, and especially the data centers who are handling such large banks, you expect them to have a very, very good amount of large scale generators and power backup and all, which surprisingly didn't work. Probably they didn't test for disaster recovery and business continuity. That could be one of the reasons as such. So power outages was one. And second thing is, let's understand that these have been like the traditional banks. They've not been like the digital lending platforms such as Paytm and other kind of things. So, so they never anticipated that banking could go so much. I mean, the mainstream banking could go so digital that you really wouldn't even require local banks like that. You wouldn't require branches as such. So the thing is, while the customer base increased a lot, they didn't have that agility to increase their infrastructure as such. They never anticipated, they would require this kind of infrastructure to handle so many customers, and that too like multiple things. The net banking came, the credit cards were there, now you have that NFC, you have the UPI integration. So there are many things. So, it's not so flexible for their infrastructure to expand, and this is what they need to look at it, because gone are the days of the traditional banking. Mobina.
All right. Well, on to the other topic, and that is with respect to how many individuals have unfortunately fallen prey to a growing number of digital lending platforms. What's worst is that some of these are unauthorized. And secondly, because the loans were so quickly available and were sanctioned so easily, many individuals were especially hit because of the COVID-19 crisis and the cash crunch that it brought about. They were lured by taking a loan on one of these digital lending platforms. Now, fast forward to 6, 7, 8 odd months later, and next thing you know, many of these individuals had been harassed to the point that unfortunately we've seen many cases of suicides as well. Ritesh, I know you have as well come across cases like these. So, how do you essentially recognize, and this is unfortunately due to a lot of digital illiteracy as well in the country. So, where do you think these borrowers went wrong when they opted for a digital lending platform that is offering you quick loans?
I think, as you rightly said, this is because of the digital illiteracy, because the moment when they installed the apps, there was, for any particular loan to be given, there are a lot of KYC has to be done, many things have to be done, and, it has to be as per the RBI guidelines. And so which these people didn't know about, because a loan cannot be dispersed in something like 10 minutes. So this was something that they should have thought about. The second thing they should have thought about is like reading the terms and conditions, which these guys also didn't put it up so well. But then these guys told them that, look, for every 5,000 rupees I give, I'm going to take, like, let's say 1,400 rupees as a processing charge, something as a processing fees and GST and law. So, ultimately what's coming in your hand from that 5,000 rupees is hardly some 2,900 or 3,000 odd rupees. So, but but you're taking a loan of 5,000, you're going to be returning 5,000. The third place they went wrong was about the high interest rate. People were charging as high as 36% also, and these people went through it. Now, the cases that I got, I mean, I remember a girl calling me up and telling me, look, I am just late by 1 day, sir, and he's alleging to, he's giving me a rape threat. Imagine, there was an ex-colleague of mine who had taken it because his 3-year-old son needed a dialysis every week. And during that lockdown, there was no other way because he couldn't go to his friends and families and ask for the money and things like that. So he fell into the vicious cycle of taking loan from one company and then to return it, taking it from the other company and so on. And, at the end, he had taken loan from 45 such apps. Now, coming to these apps are, a quick search on the Play Store will just show you hundreds of such apps, none of them authorized by the RBI, and you just download it. And now the worst thing that they do is they take permission of your contacts and of your gallery. And when you don't repay them, they just start harassing you by messaging each and every contact of yours, telling them, look, you were a guarantor while you were not really actually a guarantor of the victim who had taken the loan. Then they would have they took the photographs from the gallery, they started posting it on Instagram, they started creating WhatsApp groups of the contacts and, trying to defame the person who had taken the loan.
So just to get it straight, essentially, if I am downloading an app on my phone, and it's obviously an unauthorized one, this app, and I sometimes, unfortunately, many of us do have this habit of giving it permission to access whatever is there on my phone, be it contacts, be it my gallery. So they would actually have the contacts of, my relatives, my family and my friends, and they would allege that that particular, a relative or a family is an approver for me, and they would even message them, is it?
Yes, absolutely. Like for the ex-colleague of mine that I'm talking about, I mean, I got a WhatsApp message where he told me that you were a guarantor. And then I had to argue with him. I said, I never took a guarantee of this. And this is what you're doing is you have hacked into the phone. He told me, no, I've not hacked. He installed the app and he gave the permission. So, we also now, it's high time, even in your show, several times we have spoken to the viewers also that we need to be very, very mindful about the permissions that we are, we are giving. And even if you even if you have installed it, it's not too late. You can just go back and revoke the permissions. The apps are still going to work, Mubina.
Okay, this is very interesting indeed. Moreover, the RBI, in fact, has also issued an advisory really asking people to be extremely careful about these digital lending apps. It's always best to, go for an app or, to an NBFC that is authorized by the RBI. If you still want to opt for the digital route, there are many apps out there that are approved and authorized by the RBI. So, Ritesh, how do you essentially distinguish, there are so many apps out there, so many Chinese apps as well out there. I'm reading a report about how in Hyderabad as well, unfortunately, there have been cases of suicides, almost 4 suicides, in fact, after there were certain apps that are named over there as well. So how do you distinguish between an app that's properly authorized by the RBI to give loans as opposed to something that's unauthorized? Because it's not like the authorized apps have, RBI authorized branded all over their homepage or anything.
Yeah. So Movina, let's understand one thing. There's nothing like an RBI authorized app. I mean, to the best of my knowledge, I don't think so. There is something like that. You need a loan, you speak to your bank, you speak to your, the ones that are really kind of the well-known ones. So you can just go to your bank app, you can go to all these fintech companies and probably, look about loans over there. There are those gold loan companies and all, which are also offering something like this. But over here, we need to understand because, the other day I was listening to somebody who said like, nobody can be charging more than, let's say, 18% as such. It's not a particular percentage he mentioned that beyond this, it's just like illegal. So the moment you're seeing somebody asking you like for 36%, that itself is like a big indicator that, you just cannot take loans. But then also let's understand what was the profile of the people who were looking at. They were not like really of that particular, who would need lakhs of rupees. These were the people who thought these loan companies were more like those friends or like the small kinara shops who could give that udhar. But at such high interest rates, nobody thought about it. And with such harassments also. So anybody like, because you are asking for what? You're just asking for 3,000, 5,000, maximum 10,000 rupees. Now, these apps were disbursing around this much, or on an average around 10,000 rupees. There were some apps which are giving 50 also, but by and large, they were giving just 10,000 rupees. So, for every 10,000 rupees, you were just getting round about only 6,000 rupees in hand itself is like a red flag. So here are the things, which people don't realize. And it's only once the harassment started, like in Hyderabad, we lost 5 people. The victims, I have 21 victims over the past 3 months who have approached us, and telling us different kind of harassments that they have faced. And it's really, really, most of them are like in depression. Some of them are suicidal. So I think, as far as RBI cautioning, I don't think so that's enough. I think RBI needs to, step in, speak to the Google Play Store and the App Store and get down these apps. Of course, they need to work out the ways how the money should be returned. But this is, or it needs to, give them, or it needs to regulate them.
So I think that's a very big red flag that Ritesh, spoke about, that if the interest rate is extremely exorbitant and many of them actually cut interest or charges up front, and, even if let's say you've taken a 10,000 rupee loan and you barely get 6 or 5,500 rupees in your hand, that in itself is a red flag. So that should be sort of a warning sign that, look, this does not look to be very, it may not entirely be legal, if you could call it that, essentially. And also, I actually wanted to squeeze in a question, Ritesh. How legal is it for actually these apps to even access somebody's contacts? And was it essentially legal for that app to, Ritesh, directly contact you and ask you, as a guarantor, etc.? Is it legal? Just a quick question over there.
No, I don't think so. It's neither legal nor illegal because we don't have any such kind of a privacy law in this particular country. We don't have a data protection law. There is an app. The app asks for permission. You are giving it. So in that case, it's kind of legal because you're consenting to it. So there is nothing because in the absence of a data protection law, it kind of becomes legal. If I'm giving you the consent, okay, go ahead and access the way that we all have given access to our microphones and contact and the gallery and the storage and all to different apps. We can't call them illegal. But yeah, the particular person contacting me, again, here we don't have a data protection law as such, and he's just contacted me. There's nothing much even I can do about it.
All right, understood. Ritesh, thank you so much for joining us today on ET Now. And, I hope this is a warning sign as well for all of our viewers. You want to borrow something, go through the official channel. Plenty of banks and NBFCs in India. Go through the legal channel. Avoid using all of these quick, easy, breezy loan sanctioning apps. For now, we'll take a very quick break. But before that, let me remind our viewers, we have a very special show coming up on Monday. The biggest question as the government rolls out the vaccine is, Aapka number kab aayega? What are the side effects from registration to the vaccination process? We are going to be bringing on board a series of experts to answer any questions that you may be having on getting yourself vaccinated. You can tweet to us. You can send us your DMs on Instagrams, or you can even write in on the Money Show at eatnow.tv, and we'll get your questions on the COVID-19 vaccine answered on Monday, 5 p.m. For now, quick break.